What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller back again. I want to thank all you guys. This is my first stream after I've hit 1,000 subscribers. We got monetized thanks to you guys and hitting that sub button. We got a fun show today. We're going to be talking all things 49ers, OTAs related. We're going to be pulling up the depth chart, and I got a special guest, so stay tuned. What's up, YouTube? OTAs are underway, and I'm fired up to talk some ball. So thanks for coming by. Let's see if my guest is ready to roll. Amin the Dream, how you feeling today?
Feeling good. Congrats on reaching 1K subscribers and getting monetized. Let's go, baller. Congratulations.
Hey, you're next. You got to be next, Amin.
Hopefully.
Everybody, sorry, my bad, Amin. Amin's channel link is in the description. So make sure you're subscribed to Amin's channel because he's killing it. This kid knows his stuff, and that's why he's on here. We're talking about this 49ers roster. But Amin, hey, first off, thanks for coming on. And, hey, early reports is that Trey Lance is looking good in these OTAs. You got on the Lance jersey. I know you're excited. How does it make you feel hearing that Trey's performing well?
I mean, it's obviously great, right? Because when you buy a guy's jersey a week after the draft and, when you believe in a guy so much and you hear good things about them, right? It's obviously great, right? So, it's obviously exciting. But at the same time, I'm not going to get too carried away because it's obviously OTAs, right? It's not no pads on. You're not going up against another NFL defense or anything like that, right? So I'm not going to be like, oh, my God, Trey Lance is going to be a Hall of Famer or this is great. Trey Lance is going to be an MVP or anything like that. No, I hope for those things. But at the same time, you know what? It's still OTAs. Can't get too, can't get too excited yet. But definitely good signs so far.
I agree with you. Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. It's OTAs. There's no pass rush. But I got the depth chart right here, Amin. I want to pull it up and hear what we got to say about some of these guys, okay? First player right off the bat, or first position group I'm looking at here, Amin, is the wide receiver position. And I'm looking at Brandon Ayuk. And the reports today, and everyone's getting reports from different sources, right? Whether it's Lombardi or Mayoko or Grant, right? One thing I'll say about Grant, I know Grant's got a lot of haters and a lot of fans, but he has great practice reports. That's one thing that I really like about Grant. I think his practice reports are phenomenal. And he's been saying, look, Ayuk, he hasn't been wowing anyone out there. And with Debo on the sideline, right, with Debo Samuel holding out or just not showing up to OTAs, Ayuk is expected to be that guy, that number one target who you'd figure should be dominating some of these players, right? I mean, who's playing corner right now? We got, Ambry Thomas is out there. Tarvarius Moore didn't practice today. But you're not hearing Ayuk's dominating at these OTAs, how do you feel about that?
I mean, it's OTAs, right? Like, yeah, right? Yeah, he's not dominating, right? But it's OTAs, it's not a real football game. It's not week 1 or week 2, right? If he's not dominating or at least not, contributing, getting some receptions week 1 or week 2, or when you go through, in the season when the season comes and he's not putting up yards and he's not, living up to expectation, then I would be concerned. But if he's not wowing in OTAs, I don't get why it's such a big deal, right? It's OTAs at the end of the day, right? It's not necessarily, him going up against another corner from another team or him, when the games actually matter. When the games actually matter, then I look at, okay, how is this guy performing? How is Nick Bosa performing? How is Ayuk performing? How is, how are the players performing? But in OTAs, if a guy isn't dominating or wowing anybody, I'm not going to be like, oh, Ayuk sucks or anything like that. No, it's okay as long as he's out there at least. Debo's not out there. I'm just happy that Ayuk is out there and he's showing up to OTAs, but I'm not really too concerned. What matters to me is how you do actually in a game and how you do on a week-to-week basis when the season starts, and that's how I'll judge you on based off your performance when the season starts week by week.
And I feel you. That's what matters, right? The regular season games. But it'd be nice if he was showing up in OTAs and really dominating. I think you'd like to see that. I'm getting a little bit of feedback, but maybe that's just me. Chat, let me know if you're picking up on any echo. But I want to keep moving along this depth chart, right? Because there's a few players that I'm really excited about. Debo, we know he's not at OTAs, but Jawan Jennings is there, and he's been spending some time outside. We know predominantly last year he was working the slot, but it doesn't hurt to get more experience at in different areas of the field. So Jawan's working outside, and the new slot man, who I'm hearing has been killing it, is Ray-Ray McCloud. And I'm a big Ray-Ray McCloud fan. As soon as we signed him from the Pittsburgh Steelers, I dove into the film, and you just see this jitterbug who can make a guy miss. Kyle Shanahan's going to find a way to get Ray-Ray in space because he's a jitterbug. He's dynamic, and I think he's going to have a really good year. I had a hot take on a cone phone where I said I think Ray-Ray McCloud is going to outgain Jawan Jennings. Not trying to knock Jawan Jennings. I just think Ray-Ray is a little bit more dynamic. Jawan's big, physical, really good run blocker. They're two totally different receivers. And that's what I really like about this receiving core, because we got a whole bunch of different sizes, these guys move at different speeds, right? Danny Gray, speed demon. Debo, most physical wide receiver in the NFL. Brandon Ayuk is kind of a hybrid. He's kind of a mix of both, right? Somewhere in between. Ayuk feels like he can kind of do it all. But hey, Bryant, what's up, B? Thanks for coming by. So we got all these different body types and skill sets that I really like this year, Amin, in this wide receiver room. And Ray-Ray McCloud, I think he's going to be a dynamic slot. It's almost like the Trent Taylor. This is a big upgrade to Trent Taylor with Ray-Ray McCloud. He's a speedier, shiftier, more dynamic Trent Taylor. What do you think about that, Amin?
Well, you were talking about Ray-Ray McCloud, but I would like to point out Danny Gray, because what I've heard in OTAs is that Danny Gray is fast, like really, really fast, right? And there was a video that came out today about Jimmy Ward talking about Danny Gray, and he was pointing out watch that post or something like that, right? You probably watched that, right? So
I've seen that.
Danny Gray, from what I've heard so far, is that Danny Gray is really, really fast. And that's great, right? Because speed kills. We obviously know that, right? And like we saw in that Super Bowl, right, where Tyreek Hill, and even Tyreek Hill is dominating us, and Tyreek Hill dominates, other teams also. But right, we know speed kills, right? And it's always great to have guys who are fast and faster than your DB, because it's easier to beat your DB if you're faster than your defensive back. But what I've heard,
and it's going to threaten the defense. They got to back
and you
up.
got a deep threat. And Danny Gray can become your deep threat potentially, right? Because he's a fast guy, and he can become your deep threat for Trey Lance. Because even I heard today that Trey Lance made this deep pass today. I don't know. I know one of them got deflected, but I know he made some deep pass down the sideline. I forgot who it was too.
Was it Marcus Johnson? I heard Marcus Johnson was making some plays today.
I don't know about that, but I know someone caught a deep pass. Trey Lance missed one deep pass, but he threw another one down the sideline, right? But what Trey gives you is, right, he's more dynamic, he's mobile, but Trey can throw the deep ball. Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't do that last year, right? So with Trey being able to throw the deep ball, it's great to have a guy that can, you have a guy in Danny Gray who's really fast who could potentially be your deep threat, because if Trey wants to throw down the field, you have a receiver who can catch it down the field.
Hey, Trey's got that cannon, man. Danny Gray, go as fast as you can. Trey's going to launch that thing. And that's what I'm really looking forward to, is just this dynamic element that Trey's going to bring. He's going to open up the field. But let's move back to this depth chart, because let's see, any other receivers you wanted to touch on? And if you could, I'm going to say, if you could mute when you're not talking, if you could mute it, that'd help me out. Because I'm getting a little feedback. But looking at this receiver core, typically the 49ers are keeping 6 wide receivers, right? Ayuk, Debo, Jawan, Ray-Ray McCloud, Danny Gray. Those 5 are locks. All right. So really, it's like these guys, Marcus Johnson, Austin Mack, Keyshawn Johnson, Malik Turner, these other undrafted guys, they're fighting for 1 roster spot, potentially 2. Last year we kept 6. They could keep 7, but I feel like they're going to keep 6. So I feel like all these back end guys are fighting for 1 spot. And Marcus Johnson, I heard, is showing up and playing well at these OTAs. I think he's got to be the front runner for this last wide receiver spot. Why don't we move it to offensive line? That's next on this depth chart I'm looking at. Okay, we got the left tackle bookend, Trent Williams. We know he's the man, and left guard, Alex Mack. Hey, Alex Mack, what you got, right? Former 2nd round pick. And when you're drafted an interior lineman in the 2nd round, this guy's got to play. So we'll see what he's got. And why don't you let me know your overall thoughts about the offensive line?
A lot of question marks. A lot of question marks, right? Will Alex Mack come back for another season? Is he going to retire? Aaron Banks, right? And I was one of those people that, was like, okay, Aaron Banks, I get it. It might be a little bit immature, but I was one of those guys that was like, okay, Aaron Banks might be a bust, right? Because I'm like, dude, if you're a 2nd round pick and you're not even seeing the field, right? And in some games you're not even active, right? And that's not even because of injuries, right? So then I was like, okay, something's going on, right? Like there's something going on, something a little bit, just something going on, right? But there's a lot of question marks in this offensive line. If you look at this offensive line last year, right? Trent Williams was obviously solidified as the left tackle, but even him, he had some injuries throughout later on in the season, throughout the end of the season, but he played through some majority of them. But, he also, his body wasn't 100%, reaching the end of the season. And that one guy who we let go this offseason who would play 17 games a season, and that was probably the most reliable. Yeah, Tomlinson, who's probably the most reliable player on the Niners in the Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch era, was Laken Tomlinson, especially on that offensive line. Every week you would see Laken Tomlinson, he would be out there. He wouldn't miss a game.
We're not talking about if Laken Tomlinson was missing games. The guy doesn't miss plays.
Yep.
He was on the field for every snap for 3 years in a row. That's insane.
Yep. The only issue I said I had with Laken Tomlinson, I feel like sometimes in crucial situations, he would either hold or he would grab the face mask.
In pass protection.
Yeah, but then I'm like, Laken, man, you're killing me. We need to convert this 3rd down, and then I'd be like, okay, holding number 75, offense. I'll be like, dang it, Laken, right? But every offensive line holds once in a while. Every offensive lineman, gets called for a holding call or something like that. But Aaron Banks, that's one of the biggest question marks coming into the season, because is Aaron Banks what we expect him to be and what the Niners expect him to be? Because if he isn't, we're going to have a lot of issues on this offensive line, because I feel like compared to last season and this season, yes, the team improved probably in certain aspects, but the team offensively, especially looking at that offensive line, the team got worse if you look at that offensive line. Because Alex Mack obviously is a year older. Who knows if he's going to play, but the biggest question mark is Aaron Banks, right? Because Laken Tomlinson, that left side was one of the strongest sides, right?
I feel like it's arguable, though. I mean, is that the biggest question mark? I mean, what about Mike McGlinchey? That's a huge question mark.
Mike McGlinchey also. Yep, I forgot Mike McGlinchey. Mike McGlinchey is obviously, because we talk, all Niners fans say, right? But Mike McGlinchey is a mediocre pass blocker. What's going to happen after that injury, right? Is he going to be – none of us expecting to be Tyron Smith or anything like that coming off an injury. He's probably going to be even more mediocre, if not, just below average as a pass blocker, right? So when is he going to be ready? Can he go week in and week out healthy and being able to play? So there's a lot of question marks on the offensive line. You brought up the point, Michael McGlinchey. I completely forgot about Michael McGlinchey. I was talking about Aaron Banks, and I was like, okay, what about you? You brought up Michael McGlinchey. But Michael McGlinchey is a question mark. Aaron Banks is a question mark. Alex Mack is a question mark.
We got a lot of question marks on this offensive line. Let's move past the offensive line, because I think we could be scratching our head looking at that offensive line depth chart for quite some time. Looks like the tight end position is up next. I mean, and obviously we got the bad man that is George Kittle up front. Hey, 49ers First Takes. What's up, Aaron? Thanks for coming by. But this tight end room, They did make a move. They went and got Tyler Kroft, who he's had some experience in the NFL. He's been a starter. I wouldn't say he's wowed me. And the guy who I'm hearing about that's killing OTAs is Ross Dwelly. We know he's got great hands, but it's like Ross, sometimes when they try to hold him in the block, he doesn't hold up. But it's like if you want a route runner out of a tight end or great hands, then Ross is that guy. Again, he's performing well in OTAs. But what do you think about the tight ends? Obviously, Kittle, Kroft, Charlie Warner's still there, and I do kind of like Charlie Warner. He's a feisty player. I think he's kind of sneaky athletic. Like he's not like, like Grant Selleck was really slow, although there was some Selleck time. And I'm trying to think of the big Samoan tight end that we had for that year. He used to play for the Falcons too, the Stanford tight end. But he wasn't a dynamic pass catcher. So I was surprised we didn't go out and get like a premier tight end in free agency or draft one, maybe in the 4th or 5th round, because I thought we could have used another explosive pass catching tight end. But they like the guys in the room. They must like Warner a lot, and Ross Dwelly's back. They went and got Kroft. What do you think about these tight ends, Amin?
I like the tight end depth, right? You look at Kittle, we obviously know who the monster of a man Kittle is, right? And when he's healthy, he's arguably the best tight end in football, right? And you bring in Tyler Kroft, right? And I agree with you, right? Like Tyler Kroft, watching the Bills in certain games and last year and the previous seasons, right? Tyler Kroft hasn't wowed me, but he isn't bad, right? And as a second string or third string tight end, he's solid, right? He's a solid tight end. And then you look at Dwelly. Dwelly's a great pass catcher, amazing pass catcher, right, for a tight end. But he's a liability when you look at the blocking side. He's a liability in that pass blocking side. And then Charlie Warner, I actually like Charlie Warner more than I like Ross Dwelly a little bit, because Charlie Warner, from what I've seen, right, he can catch the football. He's not as fast as Ross Dwelly. He doesn't have better hands than Ross Dwelly, but he's not a liability in that blocking game. Run blocking, pass blocking. He's not a liability, right? So that we have a pretty good depth of tight end. And obviously, you need tight ends with the Niners because George Kittle's health status is pretty much questionable every year, right? Will he miss games? How many games will he be able to play, right? And for the last couple of seasons after he got in that contract, right, which sucks, but after he got in that contract, he's missed at least 3 games every season. So that's definitely a question mark. But, we have good tight end depth. I like the Tyler Kroft signing. And, we have pretty good depth at the tight end position. So I'm not too worried, but hopefully George Kittle can stay healthy for the whole season.
That's big time. I agree with you. Hey, next up, we got the man on your jersey. And that it's the quarterback position, all right, which is headlined. What I'm really excited about, Amin, is it feels like they're finally done kerfuddling around, not naming a quarterback. It seems like Lance is the guy. That was the vibe I was getting when he took that press conference a few days ago. He was out there, owned the press conference, absolutely killed it in front of the media. Media was eating it up. I was eating it up. 49ers fans are hyped. It feels like this is Lance's team now, and he's taken ownership, and it feels like he's gaining leadership. He's becoming a leader. Maybe he's not a leader quite yet, although the quarterback position does demand some of that. But he's growing into this leadership role, and I feel like it's happening right in front of our eyes.
Man, I'm loving it, right? Because obviously you see the jersey. I already got the jersey, but obviously we've heard a lot of good things about Trey Lance. The press conferences have been great, right? Seeing him on the podium. And one thing that really shocked me about Trey Lance, but I already knew, but one thing that really impressed me about Trey Lance was there was a press conference. I think it was like his first press conference this year. And I think Grant asked him. Grant was like, what do you think about the naysayers? What do you think about the doubters? The people that don't think you're going to be so great, right? And he gave one of the most wonderful answers I've ever heard from a quarterback, right? And that's the guy you want as your quarterback, because what he said was, in the most respectful way possible, right? I just don't care about your guys' opinion. And he said it in the most respectful way as you can as a quarterback, right? And on the other hand, right, as much as that's maybe a little small thing for most people, not to point out names, but there's other quarterbacks out there in the league, such as Baker Mayfield, who reporters asked the same thing, and he's like, I don't care I wish I could go to the fans, the fans work and start booing them and da-da-da-da, right? So for a young 22-year-old quarterback to give such a mature and, such a respectful answer, that showed me a lot about Trey Lance and who he is as a person.
Hey, Amin, the answer to the trivia question, who is the first super chatter in Bay Area baller history? It's been answered. My man Swan. What's up, Swan? Hey, that's so clutch. $10, a penny for every sub. Oh, that's big time. Swan, that means a lot. You've supported me since day one, and I absolutely love talking to you. I know I'm going to get you on again sometime soon, Swan. So the answer to the trivia, who dropped the first super chat on Bay Area Ballers channel? The answer is Swan, man. Hey, Swan, I appreciate it. You're the man, and I'll talk to you soon. So that's big time. I don't even know what to say. Like, what do you say?
You gotta get like your own donation thing. Jesse got his own donation, donation dance. You gotta get yourself, a donation dance.
Ooh, that's good.
Yep.
That's good. I'm a brainstorm. I can't do Napoleon Dynamite dancing. He's got the Carlton, but I'll think of something to show my thanks. Swan, that means a lot. You're the man. That's big time.
Swan is amazing.
Love Swan. Let's keep moving along this depth chart. They still got Jimmy Garoppolo on here. How do you think, just real quick, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but how do you think the Jimmy Garoppolo saga is going to end, or how do you think it's going to play out?
To be honest with you, I honestly don't even know at this point, right? Because I want him to get cut, but I don't know if he's even going to get cut. And realistically, no team is trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. You're not, realistic. No team wants Jimmy Garoppolo. No team is willing to give up assets for Jimmy Garoppolo. It's just not happening. So, all this stuff that
do you know anyone who has been trying to tell people that for, the last, year and a half? You know anyone that's been trying to tell people that Jimmy has no...
I don't have a point, but, the guy right next to me, the guy right next to me, there we go, I got it. The guy right next to me, okay, I got it. He said it the first time, right? Right after the season, first cone phone, he's like, Jimmy Garoppolo ain't got no trade value. I know it's a hot take, but Jimmy Garoppolo got no trade value.
Because everyone was saying, oh, Jimmy's going to get a second-round pick, at least a third-round pick. Teams are going to want him. He's a winner.
Jimmy to Tampa Bay, Jimmy to Washington, right? Everything.
Yep. It's dude, are we watching the same player? He's not a $27 million quarterback. If it was a $12 million contract, we would be able to trade him. He's a solid player at 12 mil, because the difference between 27 and 12, that's 2-star players. For that difference, you can improve your roster with 2 studs, 3 studs for that difference in salary.
And how much of an upgrade is Jimmy Garoppolo, right? To take on that contract, right, and to give up assets, how much better of a starter is he than, a Carson Wentz or, and there's people out there that think, Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Carson Wentz and all these players, right? But is it worth it for some of these teams?
Trubisky, dude. Trubisky's got
I'd rather have Trubisky.
He's got more upside. Yep, if I had to bet my life on a game, I'd probably still take Jimmy, to be honest, because I don't want to die. But if I'm just who has more potential, or who has, because with Jimmy, for him to win a Super Bowl, we know, right? He's been our guy. Everything has to be perfect around him, right? The run game has to be really good. The defense better be top 3 defense, or you got no chance at even getting there.
Who put out a very interesting list on Twitter a couple of days ago was Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky put out a list of quarterbacks, 2 lists, quarterbacks of who you win with, and quarterbacks who you win in spite of, or who you win because of, right? So quarterbacks who you win with are guys like Jimmy Garoppolo, named like Jimmy, Tua, all those players. And one hot take that he had was Dak on there. He said quarterbacks that you win with is Dak. But then obviously the quarterbacks that you win because he had, one of the hot other takes that he had was Derek Carr. But we obviously know as Niners fans, the quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo's on both of those lists, Jimmy Garoppolo is the one who you win with. He's not the guy who you win because of, right? And Jimmy Garoppolo in a lot of these games, right? And I'm not saying Jimmy Garoppolo's garbage or Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Garoppolo's a scrub or he doesn't deserve to play in the NFL. No. Jimmy Garoppolo's solid, right? But he's not worth giving up assets for. And Jimmy Garoppolo's a quarterback that you win with. He's not that quarterback that if you're down by a score, you're down by 3 points, he's gonna make a drive in clutch situation, or he's gonna be perfect, and he's gonna give you a touchdown in 2 minutes or anything like that. Nah, there's a lot of games this season where Jimmy Garoppolo would kind of, not to say that he would do it all the time, but he would screw up the game. Or that Green Bay game, for example, right? The one where he like threw it behind him, and I'm like, dude, Jimmy, what are you doing, right? And then yes,
He does too much shit like that. Like, what the F
exactly,
moments?
he does, right? And then he'll make an end of the game drive, and then all the Niners fans are like, we came close that game, but then all the Niners fans like everything is forgotten, right? But then I'm like, dude, this man put us in a situation, and then like he kind of has to take us out of it. But if he didn't put us in the situation, we wouldn't be in that particular situation, right? But he kind of did it, and then he had, like, I don't know, it's
He
like
did
he
it to
kind of like,
himself. Yeah,
yeah,
he
he
did it
did
to
it to
himself.
himself. Like he failed the test, and then he kind of like has to do the remake test and has to do a good job on the remake test, but he shouldn't have failed the test in the first place.
I got where you're coming from. I want to hit on Swan's comment because now he's a baller chat legend. Guys, what do you think about Banks and his low energy and lack of confidence in the presser? So I watched a little bit of the presser today, Swan. I can't cap. I heard him say that, he changed his body, right? Cut down on some fat, added some muscle. I saw some of it, and it definitely wasn't high energy, but to me, it wasn't anything to be worried about. And then he asked, am I being too critical? I think so, but I didn't see the full press conference.
I
This
didn't see
guy,
the full.
remember, he hasn't been in front of the media very much, so he might get better as time goes, right? This is like his first time he's been in front of the media.
I didn't see the full presser either, but at the same time, like, it's a press conference, right? Like, you don't really want to be out there answering like 50 questions from reporters about what you did in the offseason, da da da. Like, I don't think it's too much to worry about, like you said, but like, if you're a player, right? Like if you're any player, right? Even like there's certain guys out there, there's certain players that, will have high energy and bring high energy to pressers. But a lot of players, they go on the pressers, they just, very calm, very chill, just try to be done with it and try to get out and be done with the pressers.
No doubt. I want to keep it moving. Next position on the board is the running back position, right? Which I feel like the depth is pretty good. And here's the thing, though. I thought the depth was pretty good last year too. When like Wayne Gallman was like our fifth guy, I was like, oh, that's not bad, And Jermichael Hasty, he's all right. I'm lower on Hasty than I think some Niners fans, but the Ty Davis Price pick. It did feel like a bit of a reach, but watching the film, I like the player. Eli Mitchell is a solid. He's a good running back. No, Eli Mitchell's better than solid. I'm sorry. He's a good running back. I wouldn't call him great quite yet. He's not in that great tier, but I think he's a good running back where he'd be a really good number two, almost like how Kareem Hunt is that number two in Cleveland. But if he's your number one guy, it's like, okay, that's solid. Like, that's all right. But that's how I feel about Mitchell. So I'm wondering, can Davis Price come in and kind of look like that number one dominant feature running back? And Eli Mitchell can be the spell? Is it going to be an even split? How do you feel about, and the other guys too? Let me not do it justice, right? Jeff Wilson runs hard as hell. He just runs hard, right? He wasn't fully healthy last year, but you look back, 2020, Jeff Wilson's bowling dudes over. He's running right through their chest. And shout out to Jeff Wilson. I don't know if you know this, but he won me $7,000 on DraftKings. It was the only time I've ever really hit a big number. And
you and Jock Peterson, will defend Jeff Wilson, and take a slap for Jeff Wilson. You and Jock Peter out here like, Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson's my guy.
Hey, well, while we're talking about Jock Peterson, that's the one MLB player that I played baseball with growing up.
Oh.
I played some baseball with Jock Peterson. Shout out Star Maker Baseball Academy. But anyway, back to the running back room. Jeff Wilson, I like him. He runs hard. He's going to make this team as long as his knee is feeling right, because he wasn't right last year. Trey Sermon, that's a guy I'm a little worried about. I'm a little worried about Trey Sermon. Let's see if If I can, let's get this over a little bit. Trey Sermon, I mean, we barely saw him last year. I've heard he slimmed down. He cut some weight. Usually when you hear a running back cutting weight, it's because he's trying to get faster. He's trying to get more explosive. And, I hope Sermon – I liked the pick last year. He was a beast at Ohio State. I was watching all those big games, him in Fields, and Sermon's dashing for 60 yards down the field. But we didn't see it at all last year, except for – was it a Packers game where everybody was injured?
Green Bay week 3. Everybody was hurt. Mitchell was hurt. Mostert was hurt. Everybody was hurt.
Yeah, and that's where we saw Sermon. And he didn't even look that bad that week, but we didn't see him after that. What do you think about the running back room, Amin?
We have great depth, right? Because compared to other teams in the league, right, they have to rely on their first back or their second back, right? The RB1 and the RB2. The Niners have, I think, even like you said about Trey Sermon, he didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but in that one game that he played, he looked pretty all right. He wasn't horrible where I'm okay, it didn't give me a reason to say, oh, he shouldn't have played the whole season. I thought he was pretty solid, right? I thought he should have gotten some snaps every game after that game because I thought he was all right, right? I don't think he was that bad that you couldn't even play him, and he was fully suited up with his helmet on. I thought he was all right. But the Niners overall have good depth, right? Elijah Mitchell, I'm probably more higher on than you are. I thought he was great. I thought he had great speed. The Ty Davis Price pick. When I saw that pick, I was like, oh my goodness, why another running back, right? Because you look at the roster, you already have Mitchell, you have Jeff Wilson coming back, you have Hasty, you have Sermon. So I was just saying, why Ty Davis Price in the 3rd round? That makes no sense. But so far from a lot of even Anthony Lynn, he's looking pretty solid. So I think he's probably gonna get some reps also. But overall, the Niners have great depth in the running back. The Niners have great running back depth because the Niners running backs from what we've seen, obviously in the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan era, and especially the last couple of years, is that the Niners just can't rely on 1 or 2 backs because the Niners backs get hurt all the time, right? So having 3 or 4 or 5 guys in that running back group that can all come in and play, right? I think Sermon can come in and play. Hasty can come in and play. Jeff Wilson can come in and play. If Mitchell can come in and play. So all those guys can come in and play. So overall, the Niners just have great depth in that running back and great running back depth. And all these guys I feel like can play if anybody goes down.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The depth is looking good. And even this undrafted kid, Jordan Mason, people are hyping him up. They're saying he's looking really good at OTAs. Another thick running back who, something to monitor because 49ers, they're pretty good at getting some of these undrafted players that come in and outperform expectations. But why don't we flip it to the defensive side of the ball? Let's see. We'll try to wrap it up in about 15 minutes or so. I mean, we'll try to keep it maybe a little more concise on some of these guys. But right up top, we got the pass rushers, right? Or it's the D line is what I'm looking at here. Nick Bosa. I mean, we don't need to spend too much time on praising Nick Bosa and his talents. We know Bosa's a monster. We're just one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. You're talking about rare air, not JJ Watt. TJ Watt is in that caliber. Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa.
Well, speaking of TJ Watt, the Niners could have drafted TJ Watt. Can you imagine, right? If they didn't take Solomon Thomas and they took TJ Watt with that 3rd pick, can you imagine Nick Bosa and TJ Watt on one defensive line?
I know, but it's that. What's the effect? Is it the butterfly effect? No, there's an effect where if you change something previously, it doesn't play out. Do we still get the first pick or the second? No, was Bosa? Bosa was the first pick or second pick? No, he was the second pick. A quarterback went 1. Kyler Murray.
Bosa was the
Kyler Murray went 1. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. Murray went 1, and then we took Bosa. But it's if we had taken TJ Watt, are we still picking in that same position? Is our record the same? There's always that aspect.
Yeah, there's that aspect. The only reason I would say I think it would give the Niners a better chance that we probably took Bosa was because I don't know about specifically Bosa, but I think we probably got the second pick was because the quarterbacks, right? The quarterbacks get a lot of injuries and things like that, right? And I don't know if you remember this guy. But this guy used not to say that he was the same Bosa caliber. But this guy was our main pass rusher in that 2018 season. But he was our linebacker. But one guy that stepped up was Cassius Marsh. You remember Cassius Marsh? And he had that little kick celebration where he did a little kung fu kick.
He thought he was the fucking coolest guy, Cassius Marsh. He thought he was so fucking cool. He came over here from New England, right? Or wherever. And as soon as he got here, he started bashing the Patriot way. And it's like, that's a little bit of a red flag, because it's like not too many players leave the Patriot organization and then just immediately start bashing him. So that was always a little red flag. Cassius Marsh, dude, that was, wow. We had really bad pass rushers that year. You're right, he was like one of our top guys, and he was not good. So we've came a long way. That's a good thing. Let's keep looking at this defensive line. We touched on Bosa, Kamoko Ture. This guy's got some talent, man. You know, I was watching his Colts highlights, and he's got some burst. He's got good acceleration at the snap. He's got the good hands. That's what I look for when I'm scouting defensive ends or just pass rushers in general. Charles Omenihu. I like Omenihu. He's a big guy. You know, I think he's a good run-based down defensive end who does have some pass rushing tools, but I think you're going to want him in more on like run down situations. And the other guy, the next guy I'm looking at the top of this defensive line list is Jordan Willis, right? We know he had the big block, the special teams block on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. But I think he's also got some pass rushing potential. Amin, this guy's combine was amazing. He's got phenomenal speed, strength, acceleration. Like Jordan Willis, I think he's going to surprise some people this year.
Is he your Arden Key pick this year? Is he going to be the next Arden Key?
You know, that's a great question, Amin, and thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, I was really high on Arden Key coming into last year. For defensive end, man, you know what? Actually, I got another guy for my breakout.
Who is Baller's Arden Key this year?
All right, well, let's get to it right now. So I said I like Willis because my Baller's Arden Key, and this one might be even more scorching hot than the Arden Key pick, because Arden Key had 3 career sacks before he came to the Niners, right? And then he had the 6.5 or whatever he had. But my pick for a breakout year is going to be Kevin Givens, defensive tackle. And nobody's seeing this one coming, right? He's only got 1 sack or like 1.5 sacks in his career. So it's like, whoa, Baller. So I'm not thinking of it so much as like sack production, but I'm just talking about impact. I think Kevin Givens is going to have a really positive impact on football games. I think he could end up with 2, 3, 4 sacks potentially, but I'm looking at tackles for loss in the run game. I'm looking at just causing havoc on the defensive line, disruption. I think he's going to be disrupting quarterback. I'm really big on Kevin Givens. Actually, I put out a Kevin Givens highlight video earlier this offseason that shows on tape his acceleration. As soon as this ball snapped to me, who's the first guy jumping to get into the backfield? It's Kevin Givens. This guy off the snap, his acceleration is phenomenal. He's undersized. He's quick, though, right? He's smaller, but he's quick. That's where the difference pays off. So you're asking who's the Arden Key? I'm not looking at it so much as sack numbers, but overall impact, I'm going Kevin Givens. And part of it, Amin, is because, you know, we know Javon Kinlaw's been in the news the last week or so, but there's some question marks there. Like, I don't know. Kevin Givens has been on the team the last 3 years, you know, making plays. So with DJ Jones gone, you know, Hassan Ridgeway, he was a solid pickup from the Philadelphia Eagles. I like him. But Kevin Givens, man, that's my guy. And you asked me who's my pick for a breakout year, I'm going Kevin Givens.
Well, that's a hot take. I did not see that one coming. I thought you probably. I don't know, man. I kind of I thought you were gonna say someone more, maybe like Hassan Ridgeway or a
No, I
Kerry
like Jordan
Hyder.
Willis, though. Jordan Willis is like my defensive end. If you want like a sneaky sack guy, I could see Jordan Willis getting 5, 6, 7 sacks potentially. I like Jordan Willis.
All right. Well, we'll see Kevin Givens. I from last year, you said Arden Key and he turned out. So I think, if Kevin Givens turns out, he got to give some credit to Barry Baller for, the first one.
If Kevin Givens turns out like a 6 season, like almost like a Pro Bowl caliber season, I better have scouting opportunities lined up in my Gmail, eprizzle14@gmail.com. All right. eprizzle. I mean, for some reason, you make these Gmails when you're in high school, right? I mean, and they follow you throughout life. Now I'm 32. I'm still eprizzle14@gmail. So if you want to hire me, NFL teams, I'm not doing no college scouting, no high school scouting. I'm going straight to the NFL if I get the opportunity.
Detroit hit him up.
Detroit, hit me up. If the price is right.
Or Jacksonville, wouldn't you love to work with Trent Baalke?
Hell no, I ain't working with Baalke. I'll hang up on his ass. I'll replace Baalke if the money's right. Who's that? Is that Sasha Khan? Who's that owner of that rich owner in Jacksonville? If he wants
I forgot.
Sasha Khan. Actually, I think that was an old center from Kansas basketball.
I don't know who it is. I forgot who his name was, but
I mean, who?
Shad Khan.
Sasha Khan, former Kansas Jayhawk center. Google it. All right, but let's keep moving because, like I said, I want to wrap this up by 9. So Armstead's good. I like Armstead. Kerry Hyder's back. There's some potential there. He had his best years with Chris Korsaric. So I wouldn't rule out, a Kerry Hyder resurrection. Samson Ebukam's still on this team. He's decent. He's a smart player. Like, he's not the best pass rusher. He doesn't have the most pure hands. I wouldn't expect double-digit sacks from Ebukam, but he's just a solid player who you want on your team. And then Drake Jackson, the second-round pick. This guy, I just put out a video on Drake Jackson where I broke down Drake Jackson versus Stanford's offensive line. And Stanford's always got respectable offensive linemen. So I thought that was a good game to watch him break down. And Drake Jackson dominated. I mean, he's showing these hands. Like, he didn't have any sacks, but he kept on getting in the quarterback's face. So if you want to see some Drake Jackson and how he likes to win and disrupt the quarterback, check out, go in my YouTube videos. It was a couple weeks ago. I broke down some Drake Jackson. Any thoughts real quick on some of those linemen that I touched on? I mean,
Drake Jackson. There's freaking videos on the internet of him doing backflip after backflip. Like, dude, this guy's athletic. He's quick. You can see the burst, and I honestly like a guy like Drake Jackson, right? Because I thought, a lot of people, and I was doing this show with Crypto Ryan. Shout out Crypto Ryan. Go sub to his channel if you haven't already. But we were doing this draft, and
no BS, no
border sports, right? But when I first saw the pick, I was like, okay, another defensive line. But I was like, okay, maybe he might be all right. Like, who knows? But then after seeing some of the highlights, after seeing some of the tape, and after seeing those videos of him, doing all those flips and things like that, I get it. Those don't relate to football, but seeing some of the tape, I think under Chris Korsaric, this guy could be a pretty good player. Under Chris Korsaric, I think he could shine.
That's what's up. My bad. I was totally in this conversation. I was neglecting the chat. Chat, that's on me. But yeah, Swan likes Trey. Tommy, what's up, Tommy? Zach Wilson, he could be a bust, but everyone knows that's my guy. I like me some Zach Wilson.
I don't know, man. I don't think so, man. I agree with Tommy, man. I don't really think Zach Wilson's all that, okay? A lot of, I watched, I don't remember. I think it was, there was the show on FS1, and they were ranking quarterback how confident you are in these quarterbacks. And I forgot who it was, but someone put Zach Wilson as a 7 or something. And I'm like, that's baller right there. Baller should be up there saying, I have a 7 confidence.
No, I don't got him in my top 10, man. I ain't putting him. Although I did draft him as my top quarterback in a 2-quarterback league last year, and that didn't go so well. Because let me explain why. Let me explain why. Because in this 2-quarterback league, all my boys, they all draft all the quarterbacks go first, second, third round, right? I load up at all the other positions, and they're probably now I'm telling them my fucking game plan. They're probably going to copy my game plan now. Damn it. But anyway, I'll let you in. I'll let them all take quarterbacks. And I've won this league 6 or 7 times. I've lost count since we started junior year of high school in 2007. I got the most titles. And I always wait on quarterbacks. So I ended up waiting on – I had Zach Wilson, and then I drafted Teddy Bridgewater and Derek Carr. Not in that order. No, Derek Carr saved me, though, dog. Derek Carr's smooth.
Derek Carr, I like, right? But Zach Wilson and Teddy Bridgewater, like
I made the playoffs. Anyway, let's move past the fantasy football talk, because we're talking about our squad, rounding out this defensive roster. Last thoughts on the D-line, Javon Kinlaw. You know, what are you going to bring? What I will say is, Amin, Javon Kinlaw, when he's right, going back to South Carolina and even some of his rookie season, this guy's powerful. He might not have the high sack numbers, but he's pushing the pocket. Hold on, let me go full screen so I can get this push in the pocket. He's pushing the pocket. He's pushing this offensive lineman back into the quarterback. It's hard to look downfield when your guard's getting shoved into your face. That's what Kinlaw's going to bring if he's right. Just disruption and havoc. So, Javon Kinlaw, I'm hopeful, you know, kind of a show me type of deal there. But let's move to the linebacker position, where we got some sick linebackers. I mean, you know, Fred Warner, all-pro Fred, the best linebacker in football, in my opinion, because
I'll say it right now. One of the best linebacker cores in football. Top 3 easily. Top 3 best linebacker cores in football. Aziz Shahir. Dre Greenlaw, who a lot of people don't talk about as much, but when healthy is a baller. And Fred Warner, one of the best linebacker cores in football.
That's no cap. 49ers got the best 3 linebacker core in the NFL until somebody can show me a roster otherwise.
And Niners fans know that, right? And like I'll say, right, there are other teams that have good linebacker duos, right? Like the Buccaneers have a good linebacker duo. The Cowboys have a good linebacker duo, right?
I'm looking at. I'm a big Roquan Smith fan, but I don't know who his running mate is. That's only one guy.
No, but nobody has as good of a trio as the Niners do when it comes to the linebacker position. When Aziz, Dre Greenlaw, and Fred Warner, it's not even close.
Hey, I feel you on that. Let's see. George Odom's a safety. Oren Burke, that's who I'm looking at. Oren Burke, supposedly he got beat today by Jermichael Hasty on an out and up. It's an out route that turns into a wheel. Burks got burned. It's only one play. He's an all-pro special teamer. Demetrius Flanagan filled in admirably for a couple games last year when we were dinged up. But let's see. We only got a few minutes here. This secondary, yeah, that's all we got left is this secondary, okay? Jason Verret, they got Jason Verret starting on this depth chart. I mean, I just don't know what we can expect from Jason Verret. Yeah, he's a baller when he's on the field, but it's like these ACLs, a lot of times it takes a year to get back. Like the first year we had Jason Verret, he didn't do nothing. That was his first year coming off of ACL. And then the second year is when we had that great season.
Yeah, and that first year, right? That first year people don't talk about as much, but then he got put in that Vikings game. Or like I remember one game, Pittsburgh.
I think it was the Steelers. Was it the Steelers or Vikings?
Right? Pittsburgh. And he got beat a couple of times. I think he got beat by Ray-Ray McCloud or something.
And that's when I was like, he's washed. After that, I was like, Verret's washed. And then we brought him back. I'm like,
I was exactly like you. I was like, okay, dude, this man, like, I get it, but Verret's not like Verret's. He's he ain't nothing special, right? And then you bring him back, and I was like, okay, like everybody's.
And then he balled out.
And yeah, exactly. Then he balled out, right? He went into Arizona, and he was doing pretty good defending DeAndre Hopkins, guarding DeAndre Hopkins, and he was doing pretty good. But then coming off another torn ACL, it's like, he's definitely not going to be a starter this year, especially week 1. He's not a starter, that's for sure.
No, oh, you're right. You know what? Maybe it's like you can kind of stash him on the practice squad, and like you keep him for later on in the year if he's needed. You know, hey, week 8, 9, 10, somebody goes down. Verret's knees feeling better. Boom. That might be a good idea. I like that. I mean, hey, what's up, Kelts? Hey, Kelts is killing it too, man. 2 guys you got to subscribe to. Amin the Dream, Kelts.
Hey, sending my
and No
prayers to
Border
Kelts
Sports.
Chronicle, man. Sorry, so hope your week gets better, man. Sending my prayers to Kelts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Celts, you got our support, big dog. Let's see any chats that I missed. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Let's keep moving on this secondary, and then we're about to get out of here. Ambry Thomas, supposedly he's been looking good in OTA. Sounds like he bulked up. And then Diamador Lenore. All right. Here's another guy, Amin, that I'm higher on than most people. Last year,
I'm as high as you on Diamador Lenore, okay? I am a big Diamador Lenore believer, okay? Last year, I thought he was pretty solid. Like, I don't know why. Like, I get it. He got beat one time, but last year, I thought he was pretty solid. Exactly. I don't get it. Like, he didn't play it. I was like, okay, this man's solid, right? He ain't. And, like, especially when Ambry, the first couple of weeks of Thomas, where he was getting beat by Russell Gage and he was getting beaten, I'm like, dude, Lenore got beat one time, and that was on a deep pass, right? And we already know Lenore isn't. I think I forgot who it was, but it was against Philly, and Diamador Lenore gets beat deep, right? And like my comparison to Diamador Lenore, and I get it. This is from a not necessarily a skill set standpoint, from just the way that the type of corner he is. He reminds me of Richard Sherman, but not big as hands, like not just big, not big, not as big of an arm size and arm length. But he reminds me of a Richard Sherman. He's not that fast, but you know he can stay with the receiver. But he'll get beat deep a couple of times. But he reminds me of Richard Sherman a little bit of Richard Sherman.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, here's what I think about Demo, because after we drafted him, and then at that time I was subscribed to PFF, and PFF puts out like paragraphs on every drafted player, and the one thing they were hyping up about Diamador Lenore coming out of Oregon is this dude is physical. He will tackle. They called him the best tackling corner in the draft when he was coming out. And Tommy Huxley's got this chat. Is Demo going to play slot, outside, or backup? I'm looking at him in the slot. What do the 49ers like to do? The 49ers like to do schematically with their slot players. It's they blitz them, right? How many times the 49ers blitz K'Wan Williams? You better hold up in the run game. You better be able to tackle. And I'm looking at it. Sounds like Diamador Lenore to me. But, I mean, there's a good old-fashioned just competition going on at slot corner, right? They got 3-4 guys that are battling it out. Darquez Denard sounds like he's getting the early reps here in OTAs with the first team at nickel corner. He's the vet, former first-round pick out of Michigan State. I remember when he got drafted. I liked him. And so right now he's in the slot. Yeah, you got Demo, who I also like. I think he could potentially see some snaps at the slot this year. I think he's going to be fighting for the starting job. And then you got the rookie. The rookie, let's see, I got the depth chart right here. You got the rookie Sam Womack. Sorry, Sam. I was blanking on your name there for a sec. Sammy Womack. Don't get him confused with Bobby Womack. But Sam, small school guy, we'll find out. Yeah.
You know who I like in a rookie? I like Leon O'Neal Jr. Okay? That's the guy who I like a lot. Okay? I don't know if a lot of other Irish fans like him, right? But that's over all the rookies so far, like out of all the late round rookies and out of all or majority of the undrafted guys, he's probably my favorite. He's probably my favorite pick of the Niners side. Maybe outside of Donovan West, but he's up there. He's definitely up there. I really like Leon O'Neal Jr., not only as a person, but as a football player also. And I think legitimately he could have a shot at being Jaquiski Tartt's replacement. Jaquiski Tartt's replacement if they don't bring him back. I get it. Talanoa Hufanga is getting all this hype right now. Right, all this hype I hear. Talanoa Hufanga. Right, but like most Niners fans watched the tape last year. He sucked at coverage last year. He was horrible at coverage. Right, he's a good tackler, but he's just not good at coverage whatsoever. He got beat a lot of times, right? So I think Leon O'Neal, honestly, I personally like him, but if Talanoa Hufanga struggles,
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to throw any water on your fire, but I got to put this up. Supposedly, O'Neal was getting burnt by the ball boy today. That's what I heard. The ball boy was routing up Leon O'Neal. I don't know the context. I wasn't there. But and I know you like him, but the ball boy was routing him up today. I mean, so
Damn.
I don't know. But I will say, I heard like he was there, like, I don't know if he was their captain, but he was their hype man at Texas A&M. I saw videos like before the game, you know, the team's gathering around. Who's in the middle trying to pump up the team? It's Leon O'Neal. So there's some things from a leadership standpoint that I do like from Leon. I also saw him get ran over by Davis Price when after we drafted him and I was putting on the tape, just ran over Leon. But hey, he's fighting. You know, we're going to keep 4 or 5 safeties. So he's fighting for his spot at the back end, you know, special teamer. And but Hufanga, please continue. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had to update you on your boy Leon.
Damn.
But
Man, Leon, why you be doing me like that, man? No, realistic. No, but honestly, right? Like the thing I like about Leon O'Neal Jr. is that like I haven't watched a lot of his tape, right? I've watched a little bit, but like just from some of the interviews that I saw pre-draft of Leon O'Neal, because I was looking into the safeties, right? And I looked at Nick
he's
Cox and all those
well-spoken.
guys, right? He's well spoken, right? And you could tell the guy wants to be good, right? You could tell the guy wants to be great, right? And here's what a lot of people like. I feel like a lot of GMs and things like, here's what I look at. If I was a GM, here's what I would look at differently compared to like other gyms right now is that like just an example, let's reference to the NBA, right? Zion Williamson and John Morant. What is the difference between Zion Williamson and John Morant, right? Zion Williamson coming out of college, all this hype, Zion Williamson, best prospect since right? And everybody was hyping up Zion Williamson. What happened to Zion Williamson? Right? Gets hurt a couple of times, and right now you see him, he's like 300 pounds, right? And realistically, everybody's like, okay, he gained some weight. But when you really love the game of basketball and you want to be great, you don't let yourself get to that point, right? You're striving and trying to get back on the court as soon as possible. You don't really see that from Zion Williamson. That's just me.
I mean, the
right?
only thing I got to push back a little bit. Only
And then if you
because
look at, let me
he
say,
had
if
a
you look at,
broken foot. It's like how
he had
can
a
you
broken
exercise
foot.
when you got a broken foot? And some people just
MJ
got the
did.
different body
MJ did.
builds that just put on weight.
I mean, I get it, right? But at the same time, like, dude, the guy isn't like trying to get back on the court as soon as possible, right? And I don't really see the strive and greatness for him, right? That's just me, right? I could be completely wrong, but as of right now, I'm listing Zion as a bust, right? When I look at John Morant on the other hand,
I still believe in you, Zion. I still
bro, you're the
believe.
same guy who believes in Zach Wilson, okay? That honestly, I just don't see it in Zion, dude. The guy doesn't want to come back and play. And Charles Barkley said it the other day perfectly, dude. If he was getting Zion Williamson money, dude, the guy would be the skinniest he would be in the tip-top shape, right? And I get it, this is comparing two completely different players, right? But every majority of us have watched The Last Dance. MJ hurt his foot. What was he trying to do? Trying to get back on the court, and he was rehabbing, playing one-on-ones and two-on-twos and trying to get back on the court. And I'm not saying Zion isn't doing that, but from when I saw Zion on the court and when I see him now, there's a huge difference, dude. Zion looks like he sat down. Zion looks like he's been in quarantine for like 5 years instead of 2.
All right, last thoughts because we're about to hit that hour mark. We're still finishing up on the secondary. I'm just going to rattle off some names. Jimmy Ward, stud. Tarvarius Ward, I'm really excited about. I'm excited to what he's going to bring to the table. Emmanuel Mosley, stud. Shout out to D-Hack for getting that cameo from Emmanuel Mosley. No shirt. I got the no shirt. Happy birthday from Emmanuel Mosley. That's what's up.
I still remember that. Hey,
Hell yeah, I might got to retweet it.
Pull up Swan's comment real quick.
Oh, let's see. Man, Amin ready to call Zion Marcus Russell.
Dude, I honestly, man, I ain't even gonna lie. I think he'll be bust. I don't think he's gonna be.
Don't do that.
I'm already calling it. Okay, I'm calling it. Okay.
Damn.
I'm saying it on June 1st, 2022, at 9:09 p.m. Zion Williamson is gonna be a bust.
Say it one more time, but now we're full screen.
All right. June 1st, 9 o'clock. I'm calling it right now. Zion Williamson is gonna be a bust.
2022 is the year, by the way.
2022. All right, 2022, 9/10, June 1st, Zion Williamson's a bust. Mark my words.
All right, you heard it here. You heard it here first from Amin the Dream.
Yep.
Let's see. let's get the last thoughts on some of these guys. Tarvarius Moore. I'm not a Tarvarius Moore guy. I'm sorry. I wish you all the best. I just don't think you're that good. I'm sorry. Nobody
Dang.
cut this up and show it to him because I don't want. Actually, you can if you want. Maybe he'll use it as motivation. I'm just looking at Tarvarius Moore. I mean, in the Super Bowl, he's matched up Travis Kelce, who's in Hall of Fame caliber tight end. Pass interference, basically just tackles the guy as the ball's being thrown. I'm scratching my head. I'm yelling at my TV. I'm seeing Tarvarius Moore take bad angles and getting.
And what you got, man? You really got specific plays about Tarvarius Moore. Looks like you prepared a whole speech. Tarvarius Moore on this play and in this corner, he got called for this call.
I do. I got a list. I do.
Man,
I'm sorry, Tarvarius Moore. I want you to come back from your Achilles and be a really good player. And I want you to prove me wrong. I just don't think you're that good. I think he's a special teamer. I'd rather have Hufanga or I've been watching some tape on Hufanga. Look out for a Hufanga highlight video coming out soon because I'm already started editing that one. George Odom. I want to get to watching some George Odom tape because both Hufanga and George Odom both started like 3 or 4 games last year. So I've watched a couple of Hufanga, and then after I do that, I'll put out a video. I want to go to Odom, and if I have time, cut up some Odom tape so we can decide, hey, who's the better player? I'll tell you what, Tarvarius Moore, probably not going to put out a video on him. Dante Johnson, this guy's the jack of all trades.
With me, it's Zion. With you, it's Tarvarius Moore. But with me, it's Zion Williamson. But I personally just don't think Zion's going to be that good. You were just like, okay, Tarvarius Moore isn't good, but I'm already labeling Zion as a bust. But
Swan says, don't worry, baller. I was here when Amin went from calling Justin Fields a baller to a bust in 1 quarter of football in the preseason.
This is true. Hey, it's switched the other way, though. It's switched the other way, okay? I thought he was a bust at first, and I saw it, and I'm like, no, but.
Hey, Amin, thanks for coming on. I think we just killed this roster breakdown. I appreciate you coming on because it was last minute. I hit you up. I said, Amin, the dream. You want to come on? And you made it happen. I had a blast.
I kind of expected that. I kind of expected, though, because right when you called me, I'm like, okay. I kind of know what he's going to ask, right? I kind of know what he's going to ask. And I was like,
he's either going to ask me to come on his show or if I want to get my butt whooped in Madden.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Either one of those two. I was like, either he's going to be like, bro, what you doing right now? I'm just chilling. He's like, you want to run some Madden? I'd be like, hell to the no. But, since you asked for this thing, I was like, you know what? I got nothing to do tonight. Why not?
Hey, everybody subscribe to Amin the Dream. This guy knows his stuff. He is a content creator on the rise. And, the link's in the description. Shout out your channel. Let everyone know. Let them hear it from your voice.
Well, YouTube channel is just Amin the Dream. 10 subscribers, 10 subscribers away from 600. I haven't posted in a while on my channel, but, I'll definitely be doing that again and start, streaming some more since school is over. And then the Twitter's right here, at Amin the Dream 13. So go check that out also if you haven't already.
Do it. Hey, Amin. Thanks for coming on. It's been a blast, and I know I'll talk to you soon, all right? You guys make sure you like and subscribe to this video.
Subscribe.
Catch y'all next time.